And to discuss about this topic, I have three outstanding guests. Lisa Vieweg, co-leader of the Sustainability in Digital Advertising Lab at the Internet Advertising Bureau. Reyes Justribó, Managing Director of the Internet Advertising Bureau of Spain, and John Artolozaga, Director of Data Intelligence at GroupM Spain Media Agency. Good morning and many thanks for participating in this roundtable. So, let's start with the first question. I want to know what initiatives regarding sustainability are you carrying out in your own organization? I want to start with you, Reyes.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me and for having ISB Spain. If you think it's right, we can share with the audience to get the frame of reference of what we are going to discuss today here. The state of readiness of the industry about sustainability in digital. We conducted, IB Europe conducted research last year, here it is. So it's an online survey in 29 countries in which IB is settled with 256 respondents, which is not a great base. And the most important thing about this is to get the first data and see the trend in the next coming years, okay? So, as I say, it was conducted November, December last year, and the majority of respondents were C-level professionals. And here in this pie, you have the different kind of companies, and to be correct, it's 29% is ad tech companies, 22% agencies, 19 publishers, 9% advertisers, 9% trade bodies, and 12% others as consultancy companies, research companies, and so on. So we are going to share with you very few topics, but which we think are interesting for the discussion that we will have later on. So good news is that sustainability is in the top three key aspects that are really focused for the digital companies. And I want to reinforce the digital businesses. We are talking only about digital businesses. Why is so important? Because probably 4 or 5 years ago, if we were having this kind of panel, no digital company will be talking about sustainability. Now it's in the top three. As you can see, is in the second one for Germany, third position for Spain. First one, as most of you already know in this presentation, cookieless targeting is the very most important focus for each business in digital, because as you know, Google announced it kind of 2 years ago that third-party cookies will be depreciated in Google Chrome. Now it looks like it's going to be finally second half next year. So of course this is the first topic, but then it comes sustainability. Also important here to highlight that when we are talking about measurement in Spain, we are not talking about in this slide. Afterwards we will see that, but here we are not talking about measurement on digital carbon footprint. We are talking about measurement of digital audiences. Some of you know that last year we changed the way we measure digital audiences in Spain. We changed from Comscore to GfK, so it has been 1.5 years of this new measurement up and running, but there are still things to tackle, so that's why it's second. But it's really the same level of sustainability and measurement. It's just 2 or 3 respondents that put more important to measurement. Okay. So, and please jump in because you know better the human market than me, of course. So, when it comes to what you think and about it's more important in your company about these sustainability concepts, environmental impact and carbon reduction came same level in Spain. Is environmental impact and carbon reduction. Germany the other way around, but they are the most important topics when it comes to sustainability. Then we ask these executives about the measurement, the standards, and the tool solutions. And then here, yes, we come to the measurement of carbon footprint. So what it's important for Germany, it's more about standards and measurement more than anything else. Probably it's because you are already in this journey. I will see later on.
Yeah, and as Benjamin already pointed out, we are all very scared of, not scared, but interested in regulations.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are starting to realize that there will be regulations coming on a European level. And they're starting to prepare for that and starting to dig deeper into numbers.
Yeah.
And the source of all numbers is the measurement.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it is also top of mind in
Yeah.
Germany.
And in Spain, it's more about the tools and solutions, and it's because also we in Spain hasn't gone so far in the journey of sustainability as in Germany, as we will say later on. Here, we also think it's good news that the industry is asking for external verification and measurement. This implies that people is asking for transparency and for compliancy, and that and I think it's also a good news for the trade bodies as IB that the industry is asking us for this kind of support of help. And as you see, I mean, it's Europe, Germany, and Spain, and it's 60, 50, 45%. So there is a common agreement there. Here it's about what companies has already started the journey of sustainability. If we see the ones that say that they have already started, Germany is leading with 41%, while the average of Europe is 35%. And in Spain, unfortunately, we are just 20% of the respondents say that their company has already initiated the journey. And that's why we think when they respond, they were talking about solutions and tools, because they need the help to understand what they should be doing and what, with what tools they have to start this journey. So, yeah.
I think to add on to that, in Germany, large corporations are starting to actually create rules for sustainability, primarily focusing on scope 1 and 2, so on the emissions of the companies themselves. But also a lot of the media industry, a lot of the publishers and media agencies, they are starting to have departments, and even if they don't have the resources, people are passionate about this topic, and so people are starting to get involved and are trying to start somewhere on top of their regular jobs, and so that's why there is such a high number, but not all of them are actually set up in actual roles. Mm-hmm. But most people are doing that on top of their jobs.
And that's great. And just finishing, we ask what the industry could do to really speed up this journey. And they were asking, again, in Germany, they were talking more about this lack of standards, and that we will talk about that later on. In Spain, it was more about lack of education. In this sense, in IBI Spain, we launched last year with our sustainability committee, and here is Eric, who is chairing the committee. We launched a guide for digital advertising sustainability, in which what we gave, and you have it in our web, so you can download it, in which we gave kind of basic tips for the whole ecosystem to start working on sustainability. It starts with a briefing of the advertiser, and it comes during all the chain to the publisher. Because, and I think we will talk about that later on. I mean, publishers has a lot of responsibility, of course, but it's also about the rest of the chain in the ecosystem, starting with the advertiser. We, for instance, in this guide, we ask advertisers to include sustainability in their briefings to the media agency and to the creative agency, because when you give the brief, you also need to encourage them to make the media plan, but also to make the creativity, taking into account sustainability. And that will help to the end of the chain when it comes to the publisher to have something more manageable and more sustainable in this sense. So we wanted to share that with all of you. So that was the discussion, and I will take out this slide from IB.
Thank
you,
Reyes. So, and how is the situation at GroupM? First of all, I want to know how initiatives are you carrying out in your own company, and afterwards I will ask you about how your clients are welcome or not these initiatives.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel. This is great to speak in English without English in the room. We'll talk our way, much more relaxed.
More comfortable, yeah.
I'm not very used to do it. And yes, what are we doing in WPP, a big communication company, and especially in GroupM, which is the media part of WPP. These are the figures. 55% of our emissions at WPP come from media. So we are the biggest problem, shall we say. But we cannot do it ourselves. 98% of the emissions come from our supply chain. The publishers are very important in the solution or in this issue. So we have to go. It's not our Scope 1 and Scope 3 initiatives, but the Scope 3, the initiatives that has to be with the supply chain are crucial in our case. Mark Reed, our CEO, tell us very clearly, this video.
But we're taking on this challenge and have included the emissions from media buying in our commitment to halve our supply chain emissions as part of our commitment to reach net zero by 2030. To do this, we have to shift our focus from offsetting first through carbon neutral media plans to reduction first, partnering with our media vendors to reduce emissions at scale.
Publishers are very important, but this is our commitment. Our commitment is to reduce to half to our emissions, taking account the Scope 3, all the supply chain, and as I said, it's very important to put the money at the end in the media that decarbonize, the media that are making the effort to reduce their emission. Okay, we see a huge demand from our clients in this issue, so that's something that help us. If there is demand, the things will happen. But the ability to deliver today, we are in the early stages, at least in Spain, at least in our company. And this is our journey. I will explain now how we the path that we are going. The first step has been to have a common methodology. We had in all our agencies in the market a lot of calculators, a lot of ways to calculate the emissions. Now we have established a common methodology, and the first calculator. We already have the calculator. We already are able to measure the emissions of the media at the media level, not at the publisher level at the moment, at the media level. And when you measure, even without saying anything, people start realizing things. We incorporate that measurement in your decision making. Until now, to plan media, we use basically audiences and costs. Now we can introduce emissions in that equation. So we will see money shifting to media that emit less. Okay, the third stage is to talk with publishers, our partners. We have to go with them. We have to explain what are we doing. We have to explain our methodology. We have to ask them for data from their ecosystem, and we are doing that now. We have started with a big players in worldwide, and now we are starting with the local ones in each of the countries. And the fourth point is driving industry adoption. We are very open to collaborate with the IAB or any other industry body that are in this issue, because this is not something to differentiate GroupM or WPP. This is an industry initiative, and we are very open to collaborate with everybody. And the fifth step is we are developing a vendor-level calculator with the data that we are gathering from our partners. We'll have that calculator at the end of the year, this year. It will be linked to our planning tools, and we expect that will change the way we plan media. When you plan media, yesterday we were talking about is a lot of science there, but also there is a bit of art. You can communicate with your audiences in very alternative ways, and we'll find the more efficient way in terms of emissions, I'm sure. Thank you very much.
So thank you, John. Considering that publisher as Axel Springer is part of the big problem of the footprint that you are struggling with, how are your clients, including the publishers, reacting to these initiatives, and when you are adding this bullet to the media plan?
We are at the starting of the journey. We have started with big clients. There is a huge demand. They have also their own commitments with emissions, so we can help them from our side. Advertisers like Lufthansa or BBVA or Danone or Melia Hotels are very concerned. We are using the calculator, but at the moment we are in a stage that, okay, we are getting used to the figures. This is very much, this is, so we have to, we are starting understanding metrics, but I said previously, when you start measuring something, automatically that influences in your decisions. The second stage will be, okay, are we changing our media plan made of audiences and costs towards more efficient in terms of emissions? That will be the next step, but we are just starting with that.
You mentioned a very key point, because to be sustainable costs a lot of money. So it's possible to introduce sustainable strategies in a company with a negative economic environment, as we are struggling with nowadays?
To tell the truth, we are not. I'm not sure if this costs more money or not. We will see. We can build media plans in many different ways. You can connect with your audiences in many different ways. Let's see how these new metrics in terms of or emission change the whole picture. Maybe I don't know. One point that I think that's struggled me very much is about quality. One thing that I realize is that this is a good opportunity for media to go for quality. In the programmatic, there were a lot of impressions wasted in the ecosystem, and even not seen the viewability, the problem of the viewability. There were cheap prices and a lot of inventory going around. If we go for quality paying more with less impacts, we'll get our targets. You were talking about attention. This is key. This could be about maybe reduction of the inventory in the ecosystem, advertising inventory, and go for a higher price quality inventory. So could be a way of increasing the quality and reducing the emissions.
Reyes, Lisa, do you agree?
Yeah, I actually wanted to fully agree, because we see at the BVDW in Germany, which is the IAB in Germany, pretty much, we have different working groups, and we see a very large overlap between the media quality working group and the sustainability working group, because as you also pointed out earlier, or as in the video, it's not about offsetting. Offsetting is expensive. But it's about reducing, and reducing also means reducing energy. It means reducing lost impressions, so non-human traffic, for example, and that costs money. That costs companies money to send media, to send impressions to no one, and becoming more efficient in that, and having a more direct relationship with publishers. That helps both. It helps to increase the quality of campaigns, but it also increases or it reduces the carbon impact of a campaign. And so that actually goes very much hand in hand. And I think that's the kind of things we need to focus on, instead of trying to leverage the negative points of carbon footprint of media.
And it's also, about generations. We have Generation Zeta that it's really focused on sustainability. Nobody in this room is from this generation, unfortunately. But the thing is that, they are already, they already have economic power, and they really put the focus on sustainability. So if we, as publishers, as industry leaders, etc., we don't take this in mind, they are going to absolutely forget about the products or the brands that we try to sell to them. So, the brands needs to be sustainable, but also the media that are getting the message to this generation needs to be on this same level, because otherwise, they are already very much disconnected. We all know they will keep on disconnect, and one day we'll find out that they don't look at any media anymore, because they don't believe in what these media are doing, as well as the brands. So it's a common effort, and as I say, we are in this journey. Some countries are very much ahead, some others are lagging, and there are a lot of room for improvement. But it's something that we need to do. There is no question. It was like they were commenting on in artificial intelligence. That's life. So you need to be prepared and ready for it, AI, but also on sustainability. There is no question. And I agree with you, it costs money. And at the end of the day, it comes to the P&L of the companies, and it's not easy. But it's a game of be in the game or be out of the game. As simple as that.
And do you consider that the final customer is demanding this kind of initiatives from the brands?
Yeah, all the studies that we have indicate so. But then there comes the dilemma between what you are willing to pay for that or not. Because, I can have the contrary thinking. If I'm a consumer and I expect that the brands that I love are sustainable, the media that I read, that I see, that I hear are sustainable, but then I'm ready to pay a little bit more because of that. And this is something that at the end of the day, it's changed the needle. So if you are conscious enough about sustainability, and I think more and more all of us, 10 years ago, probably nobody cared. Nowadays, it's not just the youngers, it's the more or the more senior generations Yeah, I think, or at least what I see in the research that we are doing, they are willing to pay, but not a super extra cost. So this is the line in which you have to move as a brand and decide, okay, this extra X money you have to pay for it, it's okay because this brand is sustainable or is doing something to reduce the carbon footprint or whatever. But it's very tricky to decide how much money we as consumers are willing to pay for a brand that is sustainable.
Lisa?
Yeah, we do see that as well in Germany, but then there's also discussions around greenwashing. I think we are still very much at the beginning of the journey, and that's also why we pointed out earlier that the measurement, like the level playing field, is important to establish a common understanding of it. And at the IAB Germany, what we're doing right now is trying to get the knowledge on a level playing field and trying to show early best practices, like with the guide that you already published. So in that regards, you are definitely ahead of us in the journey. But we need to make sure that everyone understands the problem and loses the anxiousness. We see very, very big question marks with publishers, especially because the agencies, they are further ahead, and publishers are very anxious about being kicked out of the media plan and having to do a lot of work to measure and to reach those high bars. And so we need to create a level playing field first and have a very open discussion before we start create a competitive edge, also a competitive edge towards the consumer that buys the product and thinks, okay, this is a more like a greener product, and you know, they want to make a choice, consumers, but they need to have validated data to make that choice.
Yeah, that's a very interesting key point because as you have mentioned, not everybody can understand these measures, and the greenwashing is it's a trend. Maybe that a lot of people think that if you are reforesting, for instance, or investing in some reforestation program in Peru, as Axel is doing nowadays, it's a kind of greenwashing. So what can be done in order to convince final customers and brands that to be more authentic and that these measures are authentic?
Well, from my point of view, but this is a personal point of view, you have to be honest. And you have to be honest as a brand or as a media and explain what you are doing. If you fail, if you don't do it right, it's fine. Explain that. Share with the consumer, because what we see is that consumers, they don't think the world is perfect, so nobody's perfect. The brands are not perfect, the media aren't perfect either. So at the end of the day, it starts with a journey. You start to do things, you fail, you recover, you try another thing, etc., etc. Then you are sharing with your customers or your consumers what you are doing, and this is fine. Transparency is always key. If what you do is just do little things and explain to your customers that you are doing the best and you are super green and sustainability is key for you, etc., etc., and it shows that this is not true, then you will it will be even worse than if you do nothing at all. So just from my personal point of view, my advice will be honest, be transparent, fail, recognize, and try another thing.
John?
I think that we have to realize where we are in the ecosystem as media agencies or advertising companies. We work for big companies, for example, I'm thinking of an energetic company, with huge problems of emissions, and okay, we can reduce emissions for them in advertising, but the big problem is elsewhere. As Reyes said, we are doing our duty. In our area, we are working. If these initiatives are used as greenwashing, probably. But yeah, we have to do. I think that in this issue, each one individually and as companies have to work in their field. But sometimes your field is very small comparing with the whole problem.
Just one point you were commenting before that you were making these media plans in which you hope that in the future money will be also shift to the media that is more responsible. And I think this is absolutely key, because at the end of the day, if the advertisers keep on investing, just taking into account the costs and the audience, then sustainability doesn't have a chance in the media companies. Yes. So it's super important that the advertisers understand that apart from this, of course, cost and audience that are key, sustainability is going to help them to sell or to get this engagement with the consumer, and that the media that is responsible of doing things that they should be doing are getting more budget, because otherwise, I mean, it won't work.
You know better than me that innovation is a part of the journey. Do you consider that being innovative or investing in innovation could be an obstacle in order to implement sustainability initiatives?
No. I think innovation is, I mean, we have seen the Hannah's presentation. I mean, innovation is here to stay, and the one who is not innovating will lag behind and will disappear. So innovation is not investment. The thing is that how we make innovation be sustainable enough. When we see all these EA things that are really amazing, and we are all using ChatGPT for everything, I mean, for fun and for work also, but all these put a carbon footprint, which is bigger and bigger and bigger. So innovation gets also more carbon footprint. So what we need to also find out is how we innovate and how we avoid to lag behind, but being sustainable. And I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah, that's a very important point, because on the one hand, AI is helping to make things more efficient and helping therefore to become more sustainable, but on the other hand, it's also using a lot of energy. And in general, when we talk about carbon footprint of digital media, we always talk about energy, because it's not tangible. It's not a billboard that is on the street. It's not a paper that is driven with a car, like a delivery car, to someone's house in the countryside. So it's very intangible, and that makes it very attractive to forget that there's a carbon footprint attached to it. And so actually becoming aware of this issue and becoming aware of 1 million ad impressions being the equivalent of flying from Frankfurt to the Canary Islands and back. And I mean, like 1 million ad impressions, that's nothing in a digital campaign. And just to be aware of that is already the first step, and enables it to make more sustainable choices when it comes to media. And I think, but on the other hand, we see a lot of fantastic initiatives and ideas that are behind the curtain. I mean, when you said something about lifetime value of a customer, then this can be much more sustainable than trying to optimize the online shopping cart. Because online shopping cart also could mean that there's a lot of returns, or even changing the UX of a website, of an online shop, and making the sizing chart, like for clothing, more accessible and easier to understand, can decrease the returns that you have. And returns is attached to carbon footprint as well. So there's a lot of steps that you can take behind the curtain already to reduce the impact, to optimize your site, to have less costs involved as well, and become more sustainable. And I don't know if that is something that you can then leverage in your message to the consumer, but I think eventually with all the regulations coming, it will be visible, it will be more tangible for everyone, and consumers will be able to see, okay, this company is really doing an effort to reduce the carbon footprint, and that's something that they can base their choice on.
Yeah.
John, do you agree?
Well, I think it's true that innovation in artificial intelligence is producing a lot of emissions, a lot of energy consumption. I believe that we have to put innovation to work in the also in the reduction of emissions. We have to use innovation for both things, for create new capabilities that help us a lot in many aspects, but we have to put also our focus in innovative ways to reduce emissions or to produce energy in a cleaner way, for example. It's important, for example, in our calculator, it's important the country you are and the split in the production of energy or electricity. So if you are in a country with greener ways of producing electricity, you produce less emissions. So in the production part, there is also a lot of work being done, and innovation is there as well. So I think innovation should be everywhere, and it is everywhere.
Yeah, the key point is find the balance. Because at the end of the day, it's also very important to be sustainable as a business. So how do you manage this? So many things. I will open the QA sessions. So if you are interested to ask somebody of the panelists, raise the hand and say your name and the company that you are representing, and feel free to ask for what you want.
My name is Eric Hegblom. I work for Tribal Data. Instead of asking you a question, I just wanted to add a couple of points to what you were saying, hopefully adding some value to the discussion. So don't be afraid, no difficult question coming. But I think the first thing for the whole advertising ecosystem to be aware of, and that's, media owners, it is agencies, it is advertisers and so on, is that regardless of where the consumer stands right now, the capital does not invest in brown businesses any longer. That means that any company seeking growth capital will need to actually show triple bottom line results. This starts to simmer down in the organization. So business unit leaders will be tasked and bonused on the climate impact of the work they're doing. And there will be an acceleration with this. We talked about the European laws coming that will they'll be transposed to local laws within Europe. That's within 18 months because it started in January. And that means that all the companies of a certain size will need to report back on emissions on scope 3, which is actually their supply chain. So that will be an accelerator, and that will start to happen. So, whenever the sustainability function talks to the marketing function and then starts to ask for results around measurement, we'll get into this discussion around what is the standard and so on, but they'll have to show results, even if they're imperfect. But that's a baseline. And then it's about reducing, right? So that's the first thing that I think we should be aware of. The second thing that I wanted to point out is that efficiency and carbon reduction goes hand in hand. That is, if you're more efficient in your operations, you will probably use less energy. If you're using less, non-renewable energy, you're going to be, improving your carbon footprint. So anything that goes towards efficiency will be good. That normally touches innovation. And the third point is that it's always going to be a trade-off. It's always going to be a balance. So even talking to the most responsible businesses that have engaged B Corps and so on, they're no angels. They want to make money, right? But they want to be acting responsibly. So the fact is, okay, let's start acting responsibly, but it's a trade-off. So you need to run your numbers and see if I'm more efficient, if I'm a publisher, I've been centering around sort of my green agenda on the traditional side of the business, but I have not looked too much into the digital side of the business. What can I do? How does that affect my business and so on? But it's a reality, right? The biggest, GroupM is one of the biggest media buyers in the world. So they're setting and saying to the publishers, hey, if you're not green, you might be off the list, as Lisa's point is. Of course, it's a concern, right? But, and the third last point is that consumers care. They might not be able to pay the extra buck, especially now, when inflation is hitting hard, but they're considering that. So if you're a strong brand and you want to be a brand that people love, you need to be acting responsibly. So I think the whole thing around there is that sustainability is no longer a corporate affair. It is an affair for the brands as well. Now, how you communicate around what you're doing, you can choose. You can do, act quietly, be responsible, whomever is interested can go in and look at what you're doing, or you could, communicate and then back to Reyes, be authentic about it. So that's hopefully I added some value as well to the conversation.
Many thanks, very interesting.
Thank you. Far way to go. Andrea Zimmermann, representing Show Heroes. I just wanted to go back. Greenwashing. Yeah, okay. So the greenwashing subject, because I've been hearing many voices around the globe stating something that I believe is pretty dangerous, that it's better to do greenwashing than to do nothing, right? Saying, well, if you're doing whatever, little, it's better than you do nothing. Just last week, I heard it on a main stage at the South Summit event, someone at a panel saying something like that. So I think it's pretty dangerous because I think it validates greenwashing, and I think it's something that we have to fight against, right? So I wanted to hear your point of view on that, if possible. Thanks.
So if I may refer to what Eric was saying, at the end of the day, the consumer will take these brands out of their choices. I mean, greenwashing could work a little bit now when people is not so much aware as the specialists are. But I mean, greenwashing is the worst thing a brand can do. And I mean, I can understand how can anyone in a stage can say greenwashing is okay, because this will kill your brand. I mean, as much as if a car has a bad, engine, okay, it will work and take you to Barcelona, but the next time it won't take you back to Madrid. I mean, it will fail. So a brand that is doing greenwashing, I think it's doing the worst thing you can do. Better don't do anything at all than do greenwashing. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I also think it's very, very short-sighted to look at that. And also, sorry, that's very German now, but there's also regulation coming ahead in regards to greenwashing. And in fact, we just have to look at France. They are the most advanced European country. And they just started having one of the strongest greenwashing laws. And you will face really, really high fines. And we were talking about percentages of your overall yearly revenue when you get stuck in greenwashing claims. So yeah, that's very short-sighted. And I also believe that the generation that cares most about these things, they are very smart, and they don't just rely on the little labels or the green frame around something. They dig deeper, and they don't believe everything they see. So I don't think it's a very good idea.
No.
Totally agree. I think that especially younger generations, consumers in general, are very clever about it. So, but what I wanted to say is that we cannot stop doing things for being scared about the greenwashing. Greenwashing is how you tell to the public what you are saying, what we are doing. We have to do things and probably not say too much, right? I think is something, and we are in that part, doing a lot and saying not much.
Nobody? Okay. Many thanks, Reyes, Lisa, John, for participating in this interesting roundtable. Now I think it's time to get some fresh air and take some coffee. Okay.